The Xilosian Conclave prided itself on its understanding of sentient life. For cycles, their vast network of biopsychic probes had catalogued and analysed every known species, classifying their neural pathways, their emotional spectrums, their cognitive limitations. They believed they had mapped the very essence of consciousness. Then, they encountered humanity. Initial profiles of the Terran species were dismissive. Their neural structures were chaotic, their thought processes riddled with illogical leaps, their emotional responses wildly unpredictable, their intuition, their gut feelings, their sixth sense. These were all categorized as primitive superstitions, remnants of an underdeveloped species attempting to rationalize random chance. The Xilosians, masters of logic and order, saw them as a curious, if somewhat messy, anomaly. But Dr. Valaris, a junior neuroanalyst with an inconveniently inquisitive mind, couldn't shake the feeling that something was profoundly wrong with their data. The anomalies weren't random. They clustered around moments of extreme stress, creative breakthroughs, or inexplicable survival. It was as if, in these critical junctures, the human mind transcended its physical limitations. Valaris spent cycles in isolation, poring over the raw data, ignoring the derision of his peers. He developed new, highly sensitive quantum entanglement scanners, pushing the boundaries of Xilosian science. What he found was, to his logical mind, impossible. Human consciousness, particularly during moments of intense focus or desperate need, exhibited unique, non-local quantum coherence. It was as if their minds weren't entirely confined to their physical brains, but subtly entangled with the very fabric of reality. This wasn't telepathy or psychic power in the conventional sense. It was far more subtle, far more terrifying. It explained their luck, their uncanny ability to know things they shouldn't, to make impossible connections, to adapt to unforeseen circumstances with terrifying speed. It wasn't superstition. It was a quantum-level perception of probabilities, a supple, almost imperceptible nudge on the scales of chance. A human didn't see the future. They simply felt the most probable path, the most advantageous outcome, the weakest link in an enemy's defense. When Valaris presented his findings to the Xilosian High Council, the initial reaction was outright disbelief. Such a concept defied every known law of their ordered universe. But as Valaris demonstrated his findings, showing how human intuition correlated with measurable quantum fluctuations, disbelief curdled into something colder: fear. A species whose minds could subtly perceive and influence probabilities? This was not just an anomaly. It was an existential threat to their carefully constructed galactic peace. The Council's decision was swift and absolute. Humanity was a cognitive anomaly that could destabilize galactic order. They must be contained, not destroyed, for the implications of their unique consciousness were too vast, too unknown to risk a direct, all-out confrontation. But isolated, studied, and if necessary, neutralized. If you're finding this deep dive into human potential as fascinating as we are, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to Apex Fleet HFY for more stories that explore the limits of humanity. And tell us in the comments, what's your favourite sci-fi game where human ingenuity truly shines? The Cathar hegemony, the galaxy's dominant military power, was tasked with the pacification of the Terrans. Their fleet, a formidable armada of dreadnoughts and cruisers, arrived at the Sol system expecting a swift, decisive victory against a species they considered technologically inferior. They expected humans to break. The Cathar, with their superior firepower and advanced shielding, tore through the human defense lines. Human ships, though agile, were outgunned. Casualties mounted. It seemed the Xilosian assessment of human military capability was accurate. But then, strange things began to happen. A Cathar dreadnought, its primary weapon arrays locked onto a human cruiser, suffered an unexplained power surge, forcing a critical system shutdown just before firing. A squadron of Cathar fighters executing a perfect flanking maneuver suddenly found their navigation systems glitching, sending them spiraling into a dense asteroid field. A Cathar FTL jump, calculated with absolute precision, miscalculated by a fraction of a degree, depositing a capital ship dangerously close to a star's corona. It wasn't sabotage. It wasn't a new human weapon. It was something far more insidious, far more terrifying to the logical, ordered minds of the Cathar. It was the human quantum consciousness at work. Admiral Valaris, commanding the Cathar Invasion fleet, watched in growing horror as his perfectly executed battle plans unraveled. His tactical officers reported anomalies they couldn't explain. Admiral, the ironclad and just lost primary power. No external damage. Internal diagnostics show a spontaneous cascade failure. Sir, the Vanguard squadron just jumped into the asteroid belt. Their navigators swear the coordinates were correct. Valaris slammed a multi-jointed fist on his console. What is happening? Are the Terrans employing some unknown energy weapon? Some form of localized reality distortion? His chief science officer, a being of pure logic, stammered, Admiral, our sensors detect nothing. No exotic particles, no energy signatures. It's as if probability itself is bending to their will. A critical system just happens to fail. A stray asteroid just happens to drift into a jump lane. They call it luck, but the statistical improbability is astronomical. It was the human pilots, in their desperate dogfights, who first truly understood. A human fighter pilot, Lieutenant Anya Sharma, found herself outmaneuvered, a Cathar interceptor locked onto her. Her sensors screamed, her alarms blared, but in that split second, a feeling washed over her. Not a thought, not a calculation, but a profound, undeniable knowing. She swerved hard, not away from the interceptor, but towards a seemingly empty patch of space. The Cathar pilot, confused, followed. Just as he locked on again, a previously undetected derelict space station, tumbling silently through the void, drifted into his path. He impacted it at full speed, disintegrating. Anya hadn't seen it, she had felt it. This wasn't a weapon that fired energy or kinetic rounds. It was a weapon that subtly nudged the universe, that whispered to probabilities, that made the improbable probable. The Cathar, a race built on logic and predictable outcomes, found themselves fighting an enemy that defied all their understanding. Their disciplined formations broke, their morale shattered. They called it Terran luck, but it was far more than that. It was the terrifying, unpredictable power of the human mind. The climax came during the final assault on Earth's orbital defences. The Cathar, desperate to end the conflict, launched their entire remaining fleet. Humanity, battered but unbowed, prepared for their last stand. Admiral Jean Lee, commanding the Terran home fleet, knew they couldn't win by conventional means. All units, his voice crackled over the comms. Focus your intent. Feel the flow. Trust your gut. We are more than metal and energy. We are consciousness. It was a desperate, almost mystical command, but his crews understood. In the ensuing chaos, human minds, collectively and individually, began to subtly influence the battlefield. Cathar targeting systems developed phantom errors. Their shields flickered at critical moments. Their command ships experienced communication blackouts. isolating them from their forces. It was a symphony of statistical improbabilities, orchestrated by the sheer, desperate will of humanity. A Cathar super-dreadnought, the Obliterator, was poised to unleash a planet-killing bombardment. Its targeting sequence was locked. But then, its primary weapon conduit, a system designed with triple redundancies, simply overloaded. Not exploded, not damaged by external force, but internally, spontaneously, as if the universe itself decided it shouldn't fire. The Obliterator was crippled, its destructive power nullified by an unseen, unheard force. The Cathar retreated, utterly demoralized. They hadn't been defeated by superior firepower, but by an enemy they couldn't comprehend. An enemy whose very thoughts seemed to bend reality to their will. The Xilosian Conclave, observing the Cathar's humiliating defeat, finally understood the true implications of Valaris' findings. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology, but their minds. The fear wasn't of their weapons, but of their unpredictable, quantum-entangled consciousness. Humanity, initially unaware of the true nature of their intuition, began to study and understand it. They learned to hone it, to use it more effectively. Not just in battle, in scientific discovery, in diplomacy. The galaxy was forced to adapt to a species whose very thoughts could subtly reshape reality. A species that had weaponized consciousness itself. The old galactic order, built on predictable logic, was shattered. In its place, a new, terrifying, and utterly unpredictable era dawned, shaped by the quantum minds of humanity. If this story of humanity's unique power left you in awe, please consider subscribing to Apex Fleet HFY for more tales of human triumph. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what's your favourite city, game, or movie where humans defy expectations and achieve the impossible?